Welcome to another episode of Concrete Mystique, the podcast. You're not going to believe today, we are talking about the Smackdown. I have Captain T with me again. It is Captain T and the Purist, talking about Decocrete 100%, talking about the Smackdown. We have the second place winners with us today, Mr. Nick, I ain't going to try to say your last name, and Mr. Cody are joining us. We're going to talk about everything we can about how the Smackdown went, why they think they should have won. Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
What's up? Thanks, guys.
That wasn't a bad intro.
Very good.
Especially when I improv it. That was good. Okay, so to make this easy, you know, I always like to start with, when did we first meet? Well, I know when Nick and I first met because he took my class. Mm-hmm. Cody, you didn't take my class though, correct?
No. It's like I took your class.
So I was going to ask that too. So when's the first time that we met?
We met at the show. We met at the show.
Okay, so was it last year or the year before?
Yeah, last year.
Last year?
Yep.
Good. And you guys, so you entered the Smackdown last year together as a team under Nick. And there's a lot of history about that one. There's a big story about it that you guys are going to tell me. I remember that. But let's just start a second before that and go, when did you guys start working together? Like, do you guys have separate companies? Do you work together all the time? Like, what's your relationship in the Cleveland area?
Yeah,
we were.
You guys can talk at the same time. It's completely okay.
Yeah, no, we helped this one guy finish this barn it was like 2 hours south. It was like in Columbus, 2 hours from me. And I met Cody there and we were just talking. He's like, yeah, I want to do this. I'm like, dude, I do that. He's like, I want to do this. And I'm like, I want to do that, you know? So he happened to live maybe 30 minutes from me and we just sort of,
we linked up.
Started,
We were concrete buddies, with each other. You know, we had the same passion. We wanted to put down the same kind of work, you know, and when you put good work down on the ground, people call you back.
Yeah.
And then
this first job we poured, Cody was into like CrossFit hardcore. So this guy's raking a million going so fast. And I'm like, dude, chill out. We really got so much concrete coming, you know, you gotta slow down. So it was just cool because I was into working out like years back and he was sort of like at the peak, it seemed like, you know, with CrossFit, running 15 miles in 10 minutes or what, you know, just, it was pretty cool. Just, he's very similar. So, you know, we started working together and, you know, if I help him on his jobs or he helps me on my jobs, or our mutual friend we poured with the one day, you know, sometimes we'd help him too. So it was pretty cool how we met.
So would you believe that I run 50 miles a day?
Yeah,
probably.
No,
not 50, but
listen, 50 miles a day is rough, bro. That's a hard one, man. Listen,
that's why I went so high.
I was doing like 15 to 20 a week and doing CrossFit at the same time. So
I used to run a lot myself.
I was going hard in my peak, and then I slipped a disc in my back, and then I had surgery and all that stuff in the last 2 years.
That's a big deal.
Last year at the competition, I had surgery 7 months before. Mm-hmm. So I came into the show like immobile,
still
basically.
Recovering.
barely working, you know, and I'm over here like, I'll help. Doing a little bit.
So you guys, I'm shocked that you guys work together then. I mean, which is great, you know, and Tony has a buddy of his near him too, that they talk about the same thing. Yep. I'm sure you guys know from previous things I talk about all the time. I'm not like that. I'm the exact opposite. If you would have come onto my job site and wanted to learn more, I would have laughed at you and kicked you the hell out of there and said, don't ever talk to me again. Like, I was hardcore private about what I did in my town. I wanted no one to have access to me. I wanted no one to understand what I was doing. I still am extremely private about that kind of stuff in Nashville. I'm getting better at it because I'm retired. So I'm helping more guys now. But, you know, that's a tough one for me. In fact, if you remember, Nick, at the class, there was a guy from Nashville. Mm-hmm. And he's the one that won how fast I would engrave.
Yeah.
And I ended up contacting him after I got home going out to lunch with him, and I have helped him multiple times on job sites and advised him on multiple. And we talk almost once a month, practically, at least once every other month, about job sites and stuff. So I've gotten better. I'm behaving. I'm trying to calm myself down and allow myself to help everybody around me. But yeah, for years, man, I would have just kicked you off my property and laughed at you and said, "Get the hell out." I would never help you at all. So it's crazy how different times are. It could just be me, in my art world. I was completely cool with helping you. Like, as an artist, it's different because we're doing different art. We both can get into the same gallery. Doesn't matter. Or I can help you get into this gallery and you can help me get into this gallery over here. But this is business. This isn't art. And there's an artistic part to it. There's a creativity to it, but it's still business first. And in business, you don't hear that very often, that businessmen help each other out very often. It's usually cutthroat and they're against each other. So it's awesome to hear that. And of course, you have a hell of a relationship because you've done this competition 2 years in a row. So clearly this relationship is working. So that's awesome.
It's sort of funny. So like how you're mentioning around here, I've never, that I know of, like bid against somebody I know, like as even if they're acquaintances or friends. And I was in by where Cody lives. It was in Avon last year. And I was like, man, you live by this place? There's like 7 front doors on these houses. They're so big. Like, and he's telling me a story. He's like, yeah, we used to have this high school party when we were a kid there. Anyways, 2 weeks go by. He's like, hey, when you called me a couple weeks ago, I think I bid that job. And I said, all right, yeah. And he told me the homeowner's name. And I said, well, what'd you charge him? Because in the whole time I didn't tell him, but the guy was texting me, we were going to meet up again. That means the job's sold, sealed, done, So I was going to meet up with him again. I'm like, how much do you charge him? He's like, $5,000. I'm like, well, I charged him $5,900 for regular concrete, and I sold the job for like $14,000. We stamped it and stuff. And it was just funny because, he's my buddy, and I never happened to ever bid a job one of my buddies bid that I know of. It was just funny. So
that's awesome, man. I do have one friend here in Nashville that I've always allowed into my circle. It's a long story behind it all, but to your same point, when the economy tanked, 2008, 2009, 2010, that time period, same thing. We were bidding against each other all the time. But what we did was, because we were trying to survive, he would be my labor on the job I sold, and I would be the labor on his job that he sold, and we would work for free for each other and all that kind of stuff. We had a great relationship because of it. But one of them was, I pulled up to a job site with him, and I was like, I can't go in there. I bid on that too. It's like, what did you charge? Because I did. It was the opposite. I charged the $14,000 and he charged the $5,000, and they took the $5,000. And I'm like, I can't walk in there and go, well, now I'm your employee. It was so awkward. And it was that they went the cheap way, like they cut corners. And I was like, I'm sorry, but I'm not cool with this at all. But it's not my problem anymore. It was so awkward.
See, I got a story like that too. I got a buddy that does contracting around us. He bid a job for this lady. We bid the job. He ended up getting the job, calls our whole crew in, and Pro Concrete came in and finished the whole job. it's like, hey, we're still here. like, hey, we
still involved.
We all just want a piece of the pie, and that's how I'm different, like you can ask Nick, I'll go jump on his job. I'll be teaching everybody different ways, better techniques on how to stamp, how to edge, how to, do it all. It's like, we're all in this together. Yeah, it's a business, but it all comes down to who's going to put the best work on the ground.
Unfortunately, we're not making it out alive.
Well, the other point, the other point for all of you guys too is that you're pouring concrete. I wasn't.
Right.
Yeah, we got.
It could also be that if I was pouring concrete, I might have been a lot more friendly to my competition. It might not have been such a big deal to me. That could be the difference to it too. I was doing something so unique that I wanted complete control of my town, and I did. I joke all the time. I have 5 engravers because I bought 2 of them online. Because some other idiot bought it and didn't know how to sell it and then sold it to me for 1/10 of the price. And I didn't want anybody else to have it. So I bought it right away just to control my market. And it worked. There was only one other company that did engraving at all in my home, in Nashville at all across the entire city. It was my town for engraving. So it could just be that simple little detail too. I never thought about it that way. I had a guy pour concrete for me and he was friendly with everybody. But I kept out of that. That was not my part at all.
Unless you have a huge crew, it's like that's how we do it in my area, because there's a lot of us that are just one or two guys. So if we could team up together, we could do more. We could take on bigger jobs, and that's why we do it. I'm assuming that's similar to you guys.
There's just a lot of work by us in a way.
Cleveland's a great city, and with all the suburbs, there's so much work there. Same thing with talking to Joseph about Cincinnati. That's why I'm really glad he got into the engraving too, because there's a huge market there for that kind of stuff too. When there's money, there's room for that kind of stuff, because the one thing we have to always remember is we're a luxury tax. They don't need a concrete patio. They don't need a stamped patio. You know, they don't need a fleur-de-lis in the middle of their patio. They don't need any of the stuff we do. We are a luxury most of the time, unless we're pouring basements or garages or, even a driveway. I'll say, sure, you have to pour the driveway, but you don't really have to even for that. So it's a crazy thing to think about, that everything we do is based on people that have the financial backing to spend on it, not because they have to, but because they want to.
Yeah.
Now, with that said too, Nick, you took my class, and it sounds like Cody said he's learned enough from being a part of all of this because of the two. I'm not going to sit here and say that you're doing an amazing job in the Smackdown because of what I taught you at all, because it's not engraving. But did my training help you with anything you've done since then outside of engraving? I know it's helped you with engraving a little bit, but outside engraving, was any of the stuff I taught you relevant?
Yeah, every part of it you bring into every job. So like, for example, like if I am just the like for, coloring, it's not necessarily like that we're engraving, but like, for example, if we stamp, say a compass or, any kind of stamp like that, I'll go in the next day and I'll use like a V grinder to chase just the grout lines. And then when you texture enhance it, it's even crispier like that. So even though I might not be engraving like the whole entire job per se, that helps you build onto whatever you're doing, at least to me, so like, for example, carving rocks per se, even when I'm doing like a stamp patio, like today, we're you could use the same techniques to finish, to make that stamp look even better, and even, coloring, we do a lot of acid staining and stuff. So like I said, your class, I mean, it was just something in my arsenal that I use every day, honestly, so it was, every single penny paid for itself with that, for sure.
It's really good. It's really cool you said it that way too, especially about the rock carving with the stamping too, and the details that you get, understanding what textures look like. Because that's one of my pet peeves of stamping is it still looks like a smooth version of a stone or something like that. And to be able to add a little bit extra texture because you know what that's supposed to feel and look like, that's really awesome. I never thought about that, honestly. And it goes to say too that, we talk about you being a student of mine, but you're a student of everything. You've taken multiple classes through Decocrete. That's why you were able to do what you did over the last 2 years. And that's a funny thing to me. The other side of the story is, first of all, I always love seeing my students doing anything. I could care less what they're doing as long as they're happy doing it and they're succeeding. And I can see how hopefully something I taught you helped you, blah, 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 wherever you want to go with it. But I remember talking to you back then about all the different things you wanted to do. You didn't want to just pour concrete anymore at all.
Right.
You wanted to do more than just that. And so you were trying to find ways to get out of the rut of just pouring concrete, but you were selling so many concrete jobs, you couldn't get out of that rut.
Right.
And when I saw you take on that challenge last year, I was like, hey, look at this. It's he's getting there. It's the same thing with Chris Land this year too. He's kind of in the same boat where he's tried to learn all these different things and he's trying to incorporate them better. And it was great to see how far he's gotten. Last year was pretty good. You guys had a lot of hurdles that I'll look forward to getting into, but nothing compared to this year. I mean, it's like a huge step from last year to this year in your quality of work and craftsmanship. and you can see it. You could tell that you learned so much from last year to focus on how to get better for this year. And obviously that's also from the work you're doing on job sites and everything too. It's not just because you're practicing in the background all the time to get better. You're utilizing these efforts to the bigger picture.
Sure.
Honestly, it was all preparation. It was being prepared for every hurdle. You can even ask Nick, man. We went over schedule. We went over schedule.
Yeah, we have.
Every single day we met. You know what I'm saying? It's like, hey, we got to do this. When we first get there, we got to make sure our project is waiting in line before anybody else. You know, it's like we got to get off of our trailer before anybody else. Like, you know, and from that to coloring the dragon the last day. I mean, we were on track 100% of the time.
Even though I do the exact same thing. That's
even
a great
though Nick
way to say
messed with a spray gun for about an hour and a half while we all painted the rocks.
Yeah.
The spray gun went down, and he's like over here trying to fix it, and we're like, "Yo, just throw it down. We gotta go."
Yeah. That's funny.
They probably had another sprayer for you, or they did not when you asked.
Well,
no. What happened?
Back to what Nick was saying about your class. Those are the things that I use every day that I picked up just being around old concrete heads. Like the guy that I first went on with when I got off the boat. I jumped on some guy's stamping crew, and he was like, "Listen, I'm going to teach you everything I know," you know. And it was like, "All right, let's go. How fast can you teach me?" You know. And he was like, "Slow down, you know. It'll take time." And then it went on from, "Oh, you'll get a raise when you do this." Well, I did that. I don't get a raise. Well, you'll get a raise when you do this now. Okay, well, I did that. So that went on for about 2.5 years, you know. And then I finally went to the union. And once I went to the union, that's what really sharpened my tools, because I thought I knew what flat was. You go on a 14,000 square foot pad, guess what? You're going to really find out what flat is. And that's really what brought me to making my decorative concrete the best that I can, because I learned what flat work was. You know,
the detail to it, the amount of detail it takes.
Super flat.
You know, and then once I met Nick and I was like, "Hey, dude, I want to do this, this, and that," and he goes, "I've already taken 4 classes. Come to my shop." I'm like, "All right, let's go." And then now it's just, you know, shit.
It's funny you say it that way.
I taught Nick some stuff.
It's funny you say it that way, though, because you're right. You know, first and foremost, you don't just jump into a concrete job, start pouring concrete, and learn how to stamp the next day, and then all of a sudden you're a professional. That's not how this works. Nope. It takes you years of doing the basics and building the basics. And I say the same thing even about engraving. Just engrave a tile pattern. Just do a tile pattern. Once you get that mastered, then you can move on to something more complicated. Don't go from 0 to a gazillion, and it's not going to work. You're going to fail miserably. It takes a lot of time to become an expert at what we do and a master of our craft. And you're right, flatness is number one, because you have no idea in those kind of jobs who's following behind you too. You know, if someone like me is coming in there, if a polishing guy is coming in, and if they do because the specs are written correctly, then you have to know a whole nother level of how to pour concrete for a polishing guy to come in behind you, for example. Their specs are insane, and you will rip that out and re-pour it if it's not perfect. It's crazy, the expectations for stuff like that. So I can see your point. Now, you just said get off the boat. You said you just got off the boat and started pouring concrete. Let's backtrack here and go, what boat?
Is that an immigration thing, or
were you like a tugboat captain? Were you just kind of like hang, you know?
So first out of high school, I jumped onto a iron ore salt freighter. 2010. Graduated in 2009. Jumped on a boat 2010. I sailed on the Great Lakes for about 4.5 years, and I hose piped my way to write for a 3rd engineering license. Once I wrote for my 3rd engineering license, I went to the Gulf of Mexico, sailed there for 2.5 years, and then we got laid off. And then,
so you said engineering license. What does engineering license and a boat have to do with each other?
So there's a engine crew of a boat, and then there is a deck crew of the boat. So the engine crew makes the ship propel and get from one place to the other without breaking down. The
Right.
deck side does the navigation, driving of the boat, tying it up, and then loading, and they're in charge of the offload. So we're a big dump truck. So we got about 27,000 tons of material on the boat. And then you have to balance yourself out with water. So as you load the boat, you're putting rocks in the front, so the boat's going to go down. So you got to add water to the ass end to keep it level as you load. Same when you're unloading the boat. So then you have a big boom that goes out for rocks, salt, ore, and you make a pile, And then when that boat starts unloading, you have to keep trimming the boat with water to keep it level so your belts in the boat don't track and come off of the track.
That sounds a lot more complicated than I would have expected it to be.
It's a lot. Hi, baby.
Hi there.
Visitor.
A fan already showing up. So you were part of the engineering of it then. So did you have to do all the legwork of the loading and the unloading, or you only had to deal with keeping the engine running for the most part?
So when I was out on the Great Lakes, it was me being in the bottom of the boat, unloading the boat. So it's called a conveyorman. So you have a lead conveyorman, assistant, and then you have two guys that are basically learning deckhands, but they're in the engine department of the boat. So then on the top side of the boat, you got your captain, your mates, and then your deckhands. So in the engine room section, you have to unload the boat, which is paralleling generators, and then unloading the boat. So unloading the boat is just, you have a gate that looks like a dump truck gate on two hydraulic rams, and then you open it and close it, and then you put product on the belt. Belt takes it up to another belt that goes to the boom and shoots it off the boat.
Huh.
So
yeah,
we were in
never
charge.
thought about all these details.
So we were in charge of, when you get salt, you got to spray the boat down afterwards. So when we unload a boat, if we're going to go get iron ore, you have to take all the salt out of the boat. So you have to go out in the middle of the lake, turn on your dredge pumps, open up a sea chest, put water in the boat. So then you have water coming into the high end, rushing down through the bottom of the boat, because it's basically 37 dump truck gates that go onto a conveyor system. Well, there's spillage. So then you have rollers and pulleys and everything lining the bottom of the boat that runs the conveyor system and takes the product up and out the boat. So we were in charge.
I see why you need an engineering degree now.
Oh yeah, but I don't use it.
Sure. Well, does any of this engineering background tie into what you do in concrete at all?
My daily life, every single day.
I was going to say, you do use it.
I learned how to weld out there. I have an engineering license in small mechanics, hydraulics, air compressors, you name it. We did it all, from welding to fabricating to pipe fitting. I use it every single day in my company.
But yet you didn't need any engineering when it came to fire breathing though, right?
No, yeah, that was right after the engineering stuff. So once we got laid off on Gulf of Mexico, I started going to festivals a lot. Then I was watching people breathe fire, juggle fire, and I said, I'm going to do that. Well, sure enough, I was head of a fire crew that we jumped from festival to festival and performed and
cool.
Melted people's faces.
What are some of your favorite festivals you've breathed fire at?
Oh man. Let's see. So I did MGK Fest, which was a riot. I mean, wow. That's so my favorite festivals would be more of your like classic rock jam band kind of styles, but I've done all EDM, MGK Fest, you name it. I mean,
did you go to Burning Man?
So I have not been. I have not been to Burning Man, but I've been to Halloween in Florida, and that was a riot too.
Yep.
Huh.
That's
Crazy.
Swanee River, right?
Swanee, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, you need to go, okay?
Very cool.
Go downstairs.
So I saw during the show that you guys had little stickers about the Concrete Guild.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What was this all about?
It was all part of the program, man. We started from an idea, then it came to a name, and it all tied together.
Because I know nothing about this. Like, I didn't ask you guys during it. I saw it all, but I wanted to wait until now, honestly, to kind of like get the surprise of like where were you going with this and what was the point to it all. So, please fill me in on what was going on with all of that and what the plan was.
With the stickers?
No, with the name, the
name,
guild,
the guild, the
and,
name.
Gotcha.
and the theme of our project and how we came about.
That was all pretty much Cody. After the first year that we did the bridge, he pretty much, I'm driving home and he's like, hey, dude, I wait till next year. I got this crazy idea. I said, I'm not doing this again, man. It took too much time and too much money, So he wanted to do. He has an idea like for next year. I'm just like, get out of here. Too much. You know what I mean? Like, but he pretty much AI. So like, he found this AI like dragon, and later on, you obviously all these different crazy like AI videos were coming out, and some people, I think somebody on with the Wicked Colors did like this this floor. It might have been Isaiah or whatever, but he did this floor that was an AI rendering,
Oh,
and
yes.
I can't
I
remember
remember that.
exactly. Yeah, it was
the
like
tree, the tree or like his patio was a big,
like
it
a
looked
lava
like
or
a giant,
something with wood or something.
Yeah.
it was,
Yep.
right.
Yeah. So that sort of gave us like, hey, let's do something that, when we're looking at this fireplace picture and we're like, is that real? Or did somebody really do this before? And then you could tell because the eyes were like, there was fire in the eye. It was just a fake picture, So anyways, even with the floor, the skull, that was an AI rendering. And I saved that like way back because I wanted to do that on like somebody's patio. If someone says, hey, sometimes I'll go to a job and be like, hey, do what you would do in your backyard or do whatever you would want. And I always wanted to sort of do that, the skull. And then it was a perfect time, and then back to our schedule, Cody's like, let's just get rid of this skull. The fireplace is enough. And I'm thinking, well, what are we going to do? Like, it would have looked cool with like lava through, but so they had lava last year, and like there's all these great ideas, and which one, like, just we'll talk about it probably later, but just there's so many good different ideas, and every single one was good. It's like, how do you choose first, second, and third? But it's just so much good craftsmanship, but our idea sort of came from like AI renderings for the most part, and Cody, wanted to do that dragon. So
once we got that, it was basically a medieval theme. We were trying to make it to be like a useful thing that somebody can use in their, in their backyard, in their basement, and in their daily lives that we live. Something out of the box, but not too out of the box that you can't, relate to home. And when we got that medieval theme, we were shooting the shit, and we were like, we should make a team name, Concrete Guild. I don't know what we went back and forth on, but we ended up on the Concrete Guild because we all have that passion for decorative concrete.
Well, that's why I was asking, because I was trying to figure out where that was going. So then, if that's the case, and maybe I missed this point at the end of the show, but did you have medieval outfits to wear then when you were done?
No, we weren't there.
We didn't. Yeah,
we weren't the pinup truck.
Yeah,
we weren't the
just
pinup
curious.
truck.
Just
hey,
checking.
Listen, we had team shirts, man.
Yes, you did. You guys looked clean. You looked together. You looked like a team. It was awesome.
Hey, that's what we were going for.
Yeah, that you could clearly tell that you were all together. Like, you should, of course. That was awesome. That's cool. I just when you were talking, I knew you didn't have the outfits, but I just had to bring it up for fun because I was like, if you go the Concrete Guild again, FYI, just for the last day, you might have to just, Crystal did the same thing. As soon as it was done, she ran home and changed and came back with the whole pinup outfit or whatever, that she had, and which was pretty awesome and everything too. So it's kind of funny. Okay, so let's get into your project now. So first and foremost, it was amazing, and you guys know from the pre-show that Tony was the one that said you guys were going to be the winners.
Yeah.
And you couldn't have gotten any closer to being the winners. And there is a joke here that Nick probably doesn't know unless you went back and told him about this, Cody. But during the Wednesday night party that we all had, their party that they had that first night, I went up to Cody and Keith and walked up to Keith and told him that I have you as the winner of this show, that you're the one to beat. And I said that in front of Cody on purpose, just to tick him off and get a little fire underneath him to make him work a little bit harder too. And I was surprised that he didn't talk shit. He just stood there and looked at me and just was like, all right, okay. And just let it go.
Yeah.
Let me go on record and say that, and these guys can confirm, we don't really know each other that well. You know, so it's not like Tony's, rooting for his buddies. He's biased before the show. Mm-hmm. I had a feeling that you guys were going to knock it out of the park. Sure enough, you did.
It was funny because the one podcast you guys were on and you guys were sort of introducing like the contestants or whatever.
Yes.
Rick said something like, I forgot, something like, "There's no way."
He was dogging.
He said,
us.
okay. He said they're going to struggle a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah. And I was just thinking like, it was just hilarious, So like the next day, actually, so I think it was the same day or the next day, we met up at my shop at like 8:00 in the morning, and Cody was running a little late, so everybody else was there, and I'm like, I told Cody, I'm like, man, I said something like, man, Rick, he messaged me and was saying like, you never even took his class. You don't know anything. You have no chance whatsoever. Oh my God. He was sort of walked away in disappointment for a second. Then I don't even want to know what you said after that, but I'm like, I'm just joking. No, it was just hilarious.
Oh yeah. I was fired up that morning too.
Yeah. And for the record, the reason why I said all that was how bad you struggled last year. Yeah. And that, as far as I knew with the two of you, vertical was like the last thing you were doing. So I knew it was going to take a lot of work to get from last year to this year. Yeah. And I didn't know if you had it or not. I don't know what you've been doing. So I assumed from what I saw last year that you were going to struggle like you did last year. Yeah, and of course I should have thought you learned your lesson, like Cody said, and you figured out the game plan, which we all go through. We all go through this as contestants because, I've done this a gazillion times myself. Mm-hmm. You learn the hard way what not to do, and you figure it out the more you do this, and you get better at it the more you do it. Whether you win or not is a whole different conversation, but you get better at it each time, and you guys 100% did that. So, I will acknowledge that I was we both had you the winners without a question. Both of us.
That's good. It gave us motivation the whole time,
So that's why I do
Adam
it. That's exactly
at your throat, dude. He was over there like, you better tell him. He was heated, man.
So that's another question I had. Your team, the other two guys you had. I'm under the understanding one works for you, Nick, and one works for you, Cody. Is that true?
Adam's my business partner.
Okay, that's right.
So we are 50-50. I mean, we do everything. So when I got out of the union, he was doing concrete alone, and we were doing side jobs for him here and there. I was doing side jobs here and there for him. And after the 30th job, he was like, why don't you quit the union and let's do this? And I said, listen, you make it make sense and I'll jump board and let's go. Well, him and his dad, man, I can't thank them enough. They literally, I was in a Mazda 5 minivan with full float tube.
I didn't even know Mazda made a minivan.
Full float tube strapped to the side. I had saw on top of the cart, or on top of the minivan. I had all my tools in the back of that minivan, and then I would come home, take them all out, and take my kids to their after school stuff.
I did the
Crazy.
same thing in a Ford Explorer. Yep.
And then
I know the feeling.
So Adam had a dump truck, and then I had my minivan, and we were just going at it, man. We were trying, and then he was like, you should probably stop and do this full time. Well, here goes 2 years later into our company, and we're thriving. I mean,
nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome.
That's really awesome.
Made a good name for ourselves here in Avon. I mean, we are like one of the top 3 contractors here in Avon, Ohio. It's pretty nice.
So, in the making of this dragon, tell us, how did you make the dragon? Let's just start there. The whole structure itself, the whole mechanism, like the whole project to it. Like, give us the play-by-play of what it took to build this thing.
It took 2 hour-and-a-half drives south to get the inside of the unit, the fireplace hood. So we were gonna do it, out of stone, out of block, and then we were like, well, that's gonna be too heavy. And then what happens if it breaks when we pick it up? So then I was driving by a place here in town, and they had a fireplace outside their showroom floor, and I drove up on it, and then I found out who was building them, some Amish guy down. Where were we, Nick?
Like Apple Creek or Sugar Creek.
Apple Creek. There's an Amish guy that builds these things and sells them. So we drove down there, picked his brain. He was trying to sell us one for, $3-4 grand. And we were like, we could just build this ourselves. And then we get back in the truck. We're leaving with nothing. And I looked at Nick. I was like, we should probably buy the insert so we don't have to weld it up. He's like, yeah, it's probably a good idea. So we bought the insert. And then me and Nick drove around and got all of our materials. And
yeah, it's full functioning. Like the inside behind the fire brick is magnesium oxide board. It's like fire resistant and mold proof and everything. And then we used metal studs, to build the entire fireplace. And then then we put on the back concrete board on, and then our structure coat, and for the dragon's head. So Cody, I just, Cody's in charge. I let him just do his thing. I knew it wasn't going to work the first time, but hey, you're in charge, man. I'm going to go with you. I know it's not going to work, whatever. So Cody cut out the jaw, right? And he basically wanted to stack them, the foam pieces, so it's like sort of 3D of the dragon's like skull.
Like 2x2 sheets.
Yeah, so we did all that, and I don't know. I was just wanting to get this thing done. I had other work going on, and it just seemed like nothing was getting done. Well, I put a structure coat on the whole entire thing of what we did the first time, with the gluing them together, cutting out like these jaw pieces. So anyways, I put a structure coat. Cody, I forgot he had to do something, or he couldn't make it, or I was just going to go there.
I left early. That's what it was.
Yeah. And I was like, I think I went there the next day for, to make sure I turned the heat down or something in my shop. Anyways, I'm like, you know what? I'm here. Let's put a structure coat on it. So I put a structure coat on this whole thing. And when you got up by the horns, you could just feel it, because we use chicken wire for the horns, and I could feel it like sag a little bit. So I'm like, all right, that's enough. I can't really go up more on the horns. So I did the whole face. Well, anyways, I washed all my tools. I shut this garage door. I shut the lights off. I open the man door, and you hear crunch. The thing falls off. It wasn't really secured, so it falls off the fireplace. Now I got all this wet structure coat all over the place.
Dude, don't let him fool you. Me and Adam specifically told him, this thing is not secured to the wall, so we can't go any farther. Specifically said that.
Yeah.
So dude, the head's on the floor.
Oh man.
But that's the head on the floor.
Yeah.
Oh, it just fell off the fireplace, so That was the first design. Let me see what it looks. It was goofy looking. I don't know if you could really see that, but you could sort of see
Yep.
Yeah.
all those things stacked together, So
Yeah.
then after that, we sort of just started sanding, what it might be, um, the foam out of a billet of foam. You can't really see it, but we kept grinding, sanding,
Yeah.
And as we're doing it, you know, I'm looking at my shop, it's destroyed with foam everywhere. So I thought, hey, you know what? It's really bothering me. I want to clean up a little bit. So I got this leaf blower and it made it even worse. So I, that was that. And
Listen,
then,
the sculpting of the foam is not a fun thing to do, man.
It is not.
You're
I
talking
mean,
inhaling microparticles of foam, and then it's in your ears, and then in your eye socket, and it's just everywhere.
yeah,
And then every day I'm over here just looking
yeah,
at Nick like, what are we even doing?
yeah. And there was a couple times where it's like, man, this is not, we need it to look more real and not fake, like, we just from like last year's competition, everything like the detail has to be there, like, and we're we got to, so the like the forehead, it started looking like a Chihuahua puppy with this round forehead. So then after we sort of figured it all out, then we had to take even more of it off, and then we look at it again. Well, we have to do the exact same thing. So realistically, we probably had like 120 hours just building this fire pit, at least. And it was just, after a while, it's like, man, it's worse than like a job. Like, you're not getting paid to do this. You know what I mean? It's like
We're spending money.
we're trying to make it 100% perfect, and then it's like every day was like, wow, and wow, it's looking real. Now it's like, so you could have had so much time, just sculpting the foam, and it was fun, and then, I've never, when you say, build rocks or a planter or, whatever you're doing, like in carving it, I never did this aspect where you're, making the foam look pretty much identical to a dragon, and that's what the key I thought was, when we put a structure coat on it, or it sort of built it out, then we're building it out just a little more, and they're like, wow, that looks good. And every single day we went there, it's looking better and better. And Cody looks at me like, oh my god, like, dude, they have no idea. It was just hilarious. So it was fun. It was definitely a good experience, and you learn every single time. It was fun.
Well, and it is a lot different than doing rock work.
Hmm.
This is a completely different conversation because you're creating a sculpture. They're
Yeah.
not the same. I mean, to an extent, rock work is still sculpture. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that they're, but there is a different philosophy between those two mentalities and what you're thinking about while you're doing it. That's
Hmm.
funny you say that because one of my close friends here in Nashville is an artist that went to school for sculpture, and that's exactly what he did was carve foam to perfect detail. And then when
Hmm.
I first met him in large, I'm talking huge structures of styrofoam pieces together, and he was coating them with epoxy. I was
Hmm.
like, what? And it was like, he said that it was like a marine epoxy. It was like kind of like peanut butter, he said, putting it on it. And I'm like, why are you doing all this? And to Cody's point, he hated the smell of the styrofoam. He hated getting it all over the place. It was toxic. He was tired of doing that. The epoxy was toxic. Everything he was doing was so toxic. And I'm like, well, why aren't you just doing it with concrete?
Hmm.
And he's like, what? What? I don't understand. And I'm like, no, there's a whole industry you can do this with concrete.
Hmm.
So I literally trained him on pathetically, because I don't know anything, on what little I know about vertical. And we did the concrete bunny together. He carved the bunny on a styrofoam for me, and I coated it and showed him how I coated it and taught him a whole new direction to go. And then he was like, so now I can literally use structures. I don't have to do styrofoam. And he does everything with wire and rebar now, does everything with concrete now, and still makes the exact same sculptures, but now they're obviously super heavy, but they're super structures, super control. Like, they're going to last 10,000 times longer. It's amazing that difference, knowing what you can do with these materials, because he had never thought about it before. And now he is selling rock work and doing that as a side job so that he has time, he has money coming in doing rock carving to be able to do all of his artwork too. So
That's awesome.
it does work, and you can't, and there's a whole nother industry out there that you can tap into now that you understand all this. There are grants, public funding grants that look for large sculptural things that are completely different than most of us ever look at, that you can start to tap into now that you understand how complicated in a good way that this stuff is, and what you can do with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
In case you haven't looked that up yet, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad that you said that, because I'm definitely going to look into that now.
No, yeah, downtown Cleveland for sure, if not downtown communities. There's a whole separate world to look up of grant funding for public projects, and they have competitions.
Really?
Just like that, you enter in what you want to do, and if you win, you get X amount of dollars to make it, and then they pay for the install and everything too. And the problem is sometimes it's like they pick the worst art you could possibly imagine, and you get disappointed for that point, but it doesn't matter. There's a whole world out there and they're usually decent income. It depends on the city, I guess, or the funding, but you'd be surprised what's out there for you in that kind of world. It's a different world.
That's cool.
And they would love a dragon that breathes fire or smokes. That was pretty cool.
Where is the dragon? Were you guys able to keep that, or did you plan on keeping it, or was it just one and done, finished?
We planned on it, but the story that Nick told you.
Yeah, it happened again.
Happened on the way home.
Oh no!
Dude, we were in a rush, and we caged it up on the way there. Well, we were in a rush, and we just put a kickstand underneath the mouth of it. It bounced out, and about 10 miles away from Nick's shop, it fell off.
Yeah. Yeah. We could barely lift it on the trailer. It was pretty heavy.
So you lost part of your project last year on the way there, and you lost part of it this year on the way home.
Yep.
That's it on the trailer.
Yep.
It's repairable.
Yeah.
Now
you got plenty of
we'll
good content.
Just put stone on it and sell it,
Yeah.
You gotta make some money back.
Yeah. Yeah.
So voting. I don't know if we want to jump into this yet.
Well,
very close on the final. So you guys were, very
So
close.
how many? Do you know how many votes different? At all?
Well, it was by points from what
Okay.
we talked about with Jeff.
Okay, so this is all going to come out, which after this, before this show comes out.
Mhm.
So we can tell you, even though you'll hear about it anyway. But what Jeff said is there's a certain amount of points for first place, for second place, and for third place. The reason why you have to vote for first, second, and third is because they want to push those numbers all directions, and calculations make more sense. You can't put first 3 times. It won't allow you to. It's not that it deletes your vote. It won't allow you to. I tried that last year. You don't even get an option to. You can't even push confirm. You have to fix it before you move forward.
3 different teams. Yep.
So you have to pick 3 different ones. And then number 1 gets so many points, more than 2, more than 3, stuff like that. And then they just add all those points together. So those numbers they're giving you are not votes. That's how many points based on all of that stuff.
Of how many people picked you for first.
Correct.
How many people picked you for second? How many people picked you for third?
Correct.
And then they took the percentage of it. Which
Correct.
I get it.
And so with that point, it was amazing that you guys were under 30. It was 26 or 27.
27, I think he said.
27, something like that. That's how close they were in number. And we asked him, we said, well, what happens if you get a tie? And he said, well, because of this calculation, there's no way to get a tie. You were 27 points off. There is a way to get a tie. That's like 2 different first place, different, it's literally a couple votes different, and you could have tied. And he was like, well, we don't have a contingency for a tie. Yeah. So they were like, now it's going to be the wheelbarrow race. I'm like, that's not going to help me, but yeah, so I thought that was pretty funny. But no, that's how it is, fairly accurate the way they do it. No, they don't want to bring in judges. No, they don't want to make it harder on them. It's simple for them. It's a simple computer thing. They don't have to do it by hand like they used to back in the day in the brawl, stuff like that. So it's the most efficient way. And what he said too is, first of all, 2 things I did not know. One is he can look at those numbers 24/7. So at the end of Thursday, he saw where everybody was at. And I was sitting in his room that night and we were talking, but I didn't put two and two together what he was saying because he had seen the numbers. We were just talking about who we thought was first, second, and third and stuff like that. And so I figured that out later and brought that up in the podcast we did. And so what he said was, so the other thing too is most people actually do vote on Friday. I thought people voted when they were there and not everybody goes on both days and stuff like that. He said there's a certain amount of votes that happen on Thursday.
I think
but
Rick's
really,
here.
I would say probably 70 to 80% of the votes actually do happen on Friday. So, weird situation just happened where my computer went offline and screwed up everything, but we are back and we were talking about the votes. But we got the kind of thing across that there's a first, second, and third. You can't vote for anything. You can't just vote for first place. So they are very accurate, is what Jeff explained to us, is that they're very accurate on that. Now, with that said, how does it feel to lose such a close race? Does that make you feel better about what you did or worse about losing?
No, I mean, like I said, every project was cool. Really, like, just everyone had so much time. It just, like the Simpsons one, that was amazing. Just the craftsmanship was great. The Chris Land's shower was amazing. So it's sort of, I don't feel bad for, coming in second or whatever. I just, I don't know if these, you said they're accurate votes and, just going back to last year, right?
Yep.
First place had like 750 points or votes. Then second and third had like 450 or 460, 450, whatever. This year, everybody was in the 450s.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I mean, I don't see that. I just don't understand, and how many, I bought a ticket for my wife and my sister, her boyfriend. There was like 4 tickets I bought. Then I brought, there was like 23 other people that came. That's not much. But what I'm saying is, I wonder how many, like, did everybody that bought a ticket say vote? You know what I'm saying? I doubt it.
Not.
You know what I mean?
No, not
right.
at all.
I know that for a fact.
So, yeah. So, like I said, I don't know. It just doesn't seem.
I will add to that that a few people.
I'm not trying to stir the pot, but it just,
we are.
Yeah.
Stir it.
If you're, I see even last year, like some kind of little bit of favoritism, or I just don't see, and like I said, I'm not trying to be a poor sport or anything, but that dragon came out pretty sweet. You know what I mean? So, and like I said, and it's whatever, like everybody had such a good theme for say, if you're like, I seen, for example, there was a couple older people that were like really into that truck, they probably have old trucks and whatnot. So yeah, they're going to vote for that. You know what I mean?
The relatability of it.
So I get that, and, I'm not complaining or anything. I'm,
it's just
I think it needs to be themed or something where, like for example, give everybody an extra day a week before the show, say, hey, it's going to be this theme. And you have to pretty much build everything in those certain days to be a SmackDown champion, like, yeah, there's a lot to it, so like, even if it was like categorized, like engraving, carving, stamping, coloring, if you had to pick like 3 of those 8, things to
Facets.
Incorporate.
Yep.
Yeah. Pick 3 and then, countertops on a seating bench or countertops on a kitchen sink, like if you're using, maybe incorporate, GFRC into something or whatever it is, it should maybe be
like
more
that.
structurized like that.
You should have to have at
Criteria.
least 3 facets, one being engraving, one being vertical,
epoxy, maybe, or
one being
coating, some
epoxy.
kind of coatings, you know.
And you have to have those 3 facets incorporated into your project. That'd be a
Yeah.
cool idea.
Yeah. Or like,
Well,
say there's 9 things to choose from, incorporate 3 or 4
Yeah.
into the theme of the main theme, you know, or something where it's more, you know, like for example, and I'm just using Chris Land again. He did that, like it's like a hand, and he won that award. You know, it through like
yeah,
DCC.
the
Yeah.
DCC awards. Yeah, I was the
Right.
Jeff and I were
Right.
judges for that. Yeah.
Right. That's unreal. Like that, like that's crazy. You know, so how I want to know how he sort of did that. You know, like how do you do it? Like how do you do that? You know, I think that's like unreal. So if he like say if you know the next Smackdown was, hey, you have to have, you know, 50% epoxy on the floor or something like that, you know, that's where you get like the craftsmanship shows on everybody, every team, you know. You might have like he had that I forgot his name, I apologize, that
Andrew.
the guy that carves from up north, I think in Montana. He was in Montana.
Shane Hancock.
You know, I've been following him on Facebook.
Well, he's from Atlanta. Maybe I forget, but go ahead. Yeah,
It was Shane. Yep.
Yeah, I've been following him for a while on Facebook, and he does unreal work. So, you know, I was telling Cody, like, man, that's a team to look out for. You know, Chris does crazy epoxy. He has Andrew Weaver doing GFRC. He's one of the best GFRC guys, I think, you know. And, you know, then he has this guy that could carve unreal, you know. So, like, I'm thinking, man, I wonder what he's going to come out with, you know, bring to the show, you know. And then really it's just an idea, you know, whatever the best idea, I pretty much, you know what I mean?
Concept is a big point. But yeah, you bring up a great point. The fact that Chris and his all-star team put out that project and didn't even place is almost a travesty, to be honest with you.
Right. You know?
So,
but to your point, there were so many good ones.
Yes.
Again, someone has to lose.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that was the most frustrating part about it too, because really the top 3, top 4, I mean, there was easily 4 or 5 in the top that we would not have argued who was first, second, and third without a question.
Right.
You know, Keith on the same thing. Like he deserved third, but you know, I fight that back and forth between him and Chris. It's crazy that's, you know, how close these kind of contests can be. So, okay.
So let's go
to
back
the same
to
point.
Let's go back to the favoritism thing. Like,
that's what I was just going to do. I was just going to bring up. We're not done with that yet.
So with the voting and the favoritism and knowing that truck was going to Deco's showroom, how could they not win? You know,
because they have nothing to do with the voting at all.
So I did say that they're all Deco Creek staff is banned from voting.
I hear you.
So that's not really I look at for favoritism. I look at it completely different than that. I look at it more about, first of all, last year we had a couple teams that were, you know, I want to say cheating. Jeff doesn't like to say it that way because they didn't know the rules completely, where they posted online so that you could get your votes from other people online that weren't even there.
Yeah.
And they got busted for all of that. Jeff clarified all of that, and none of those votes counted across the board for everything that happened with that. Because I know that, for example, that, you know, Whitfield had some of that and he would have been light years ahead of everybody else if those had gone through and had not been caught. And I'm not, this is alleged. I'm not saying he did it on purpose or anything like that, or knew that he couldn't do it or anything. It was not a rule that they clarified. They didn't know they had to clarify till this year. So this year that did not happen at all. So we made sure.
We were back at the hotel room last year and I saw it. You know, I saw it on Facebook. I saw them post, and I looked at Nick and I said, I got 3,000 followers on my Facebook. I said, here you go. We jumped on the bandwagon. And then the next day, Jeff comes running and yelling at us, and we were like, whoa.
Yeah, like we were the ones who started it, you know.
Yeah, we thought they were like mad at us last year, you know, when he came up yelling at us, and we're like, we just did what our neighbor did.
Yeah.
So crazy. Okay, well, that's good to know because I wasn't sure how far that went down that rabbit hole and all that kind of stuff and how that happened. So with that said then, I'm not going to say it's favoritism, but there could be something to be said about how they might have got more votes. I mean, they don't need very many more votes to win in the first place at this point, but they don't know that. Did they sell votes? You know, did they or buy votes from people or anything like that? Was there any way that you think that they might have found ways to get those extra votes to make sure that they beat that dragon?
I don't think it was that.
Because when it's that close,
I don't think they would go that far. I mean, stirring the pot and everything, but come on.
Yeah,
I would like to say in the meeting of the team that won, they are good people, you know, and
no, 100%. They're all, everybody is awesome.
Great vibes, great attitudes, welcoming, you know, they're good. They're great people.
Well, you have to also remember too that Whitfield loves to give me shit all the time about putting me in retirement.
Yeah.
So I have to take every opportunity I can to poke back at the bear because of it too. So I'm all in on making as many accusations as I can toward Whitfield just because he loves to attack me too. It's a back and forth friendship. We have a very good, we're very positive talking when we see each other. He loves just to mess with me. There's nothing negative to it. But you know, I gotta enjoy the moment and ask the questions because you never know.
Who's like in control of the voting? You know, like you were saying,
a computer.
I think there's several that oversee it. There's several Decocrete staff that oversee it, I believe. Yeah. And but it's a QR code, so it's a program that's calculating in real time as the votes are coming in.
Yeah,
but it's calculating those points.
Yeah, so you know, obviously, like if you scan the QR code, does it know like, hey, my ticket is this my vote? You get what I'm saying? Like
does it have a number connected to that vote? You know
so
what I mean?
That's a good question because
well, when you go to vote, you have to put in your information. So it tags you. Like you can't, if you try to do it again, it'll recognize.
Okay.
But it doesn't.
You had to make an account.
No, get down. Go.
I don't know if it does.
Well, I seen them come around. They were sticking QR codes on Cody on the thing every, you know, so often they're putting a new QR code.
They were refreshing that, yes, to make sure that each code was not stolen almost.
Yeah.
That was based on last year, but
well, I'm saying, why you can't put in like you know, fake information and then revote? It don't make sense, you know.
I could have swore I tried to do that last year and it did not work.
Gotcha.
Just to see, to your point, because once we had heard about the voting, I started messing around with it because I didn't, you know, as a contestant, I didn't even vote last year. Like it doesn't even cross my mind to do that. One, I'm too busy.
I don't think.
Well, no, he's talking about this year.
But even last year I didn't either. Like to your point, like I wouldn't even have crossed my mind. So when that happened, I started trying to research that too, and I did scan the QR code and tried to do first place for myself 3 times just to see what it would do. That's why I knew it wouldn't even let me. You know, it literally just is like, no, you've got to fix this. You can't just leave it like that. And I did that for a different event too. Actually, it was a very similar thing. I might even be more confusing on myself. But anyway, as far as we know, it is what it is, and you guys got extremely close, and that's why I asked that in the beginning. I mean, you should be proud of it. You know, again, someone has to get first, someone has to lose, no matter how you look at it. If you were slaughtered, it's like, dang, man, that guy just really kicked the crap out of us. But instead, when you lose by a couple votes, it's like, well, I did the best I could. You know, I play pool all the time in tournaments, and if I get swamped and I get destroyed, I get ticked off. But if I play the best game I can play and I lost by a couple points, I can't be mad at myself. I did everything I could possible, and it's everybody else's responsibility from there to vote on it and stuff like that.
Sure.
So I never worry. I take pride in the fact that I was extremely close compared to getting my ass kicked, and that's why I was asking that question.
Yeah, and you know, honestly, you know, regardless of, you know, what place or whatever, we pretty much couldn't do anything. You know, the only thing that we could have done different is maybe poured the epoxy the last day at the end because the epoxy was wet. So we couldn't really paint the inside or anything, couldn't color anything, you know, and then when we were, you know, where some stuff was falling off, you know, into the epoxy and it was literally wet enough, you couldn't, you know, even use socks. Yeah, you couldn't. So
next year, if you do something like that, let's talk about it because I can help you not go through that again.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can give you some advice on how to fix that.
Okay.
But that was the only obstacle we really had, you know.
I mean,
so
it was honestly pretty cool with the
Yeah.
effect that the broken rocks were falling into the epoxy. I mean, it looked.
That's true.
It looked.
I mean, to the
planned.
average attendee, they probably wouldn't notice that.
right,
Like,
right,
No,
right.
I think
I mean,
you
at
guys
least-
were on the money. Like, there's
At
nothing much
least
you
your
could have done.
epoxy dried
Yeah.
because theirs never did.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you knew that, but the epoxy around the truck never dried.
No,
You know,
They
okay.
didn't mix it right.
that is, yeah, that's crazy. Like, cause
Things have hard time drying in there. Remember, Rick, you had an
Yeah.
issue last year, right? Or 2 years ago.
No, that was 2 years ago with the
Yeah.
acid stain.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
So-
humidity in the room. But that's not epoxy. Humidity would kick it.
I just want to say, man,
Okay.
I'm proud of what we put out on the ground.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Well, one of the my favorite parts of yours was actually the reflection of the light on
Yep.
the ground
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
epoxy.
And we
The
really
way
was
that
so cool.
surrounded everything.
we really didn't plan it to look like that. It just happened to be, we're putting lights out everywhere, underneath the seating benches and around the Dragon's Head, and then it just, when we poured that epoxy, it just popped. I mean, me and Nick both stepped back and was like, wow,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, right away. Yeah.
And that's, to me, I mean, knowing what bystanders were seeing, I couldn't, I can't.
Yeah, you can't be mad, you know.
You can't be mad.
You sort of gave it all to get it there in that amount of time. You know what I mean? It's
We're gonna.
we're in another thing. You know, like we want to be perfectionists. So you know, I was telling Cody, you know, and he's sort of, I could tell you know, because like I said, he's in charge. He's, you know, this is his show. He's in charge. So I'm like, listen, we got to do this by this time. And he's like, okay, yeah, okay. And I'm like, no, like, you don't understand. We got to finish carving all this by 1 o'clock. And he's like, he thought I was full of crap, you know, but we finished carving it.
I didn't think we would be to where we were when he said that. And I keep stepping back like, all right, we're making every deadline.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that point, this was another question that I had to lead up to that. The lifelines. How much of a benefit were the lifelines for you?
They did help.
It was great at the end.
Yeah, they were awesome, you know, but one time, one of the lifelines was doing something, and then the other lifeline came over and said, hey, they need help over here. So we really, I think one day we might not even use the lifeline just because they were so busy. Maybe
we only got 20 minutes one day, and then we got their full attention for an hour the last day to color the dragon, to shade it.
Well, we are working on fixing that for next year because that needs to be more evenly spaced.
Yeah, that's all going to be talked about in the one that's coming out tomorrow.
Yep.
Which Crystal in the beginning gave us the idea of bringing the Oculus and making all of our stuff able to draw out with the Oculus. So we used the Oculus when we were sculpting the dragon's head, when we were designing the floor. I mean, she was a really good key to getting that program, and Nick finding the better program and making it work, you know, that much better. Because we were having a problem taking the picture and putting it on the structure or on the floor where we wanted it, and then taking the Oculus off, and then it would throw the picture back, you know, into the back of the computer screen somewhere. You know,
it wouldn't be aligned to where we were.
So Nick went out and bought a good program, and then it was just in it. Once you're in it, you can take it off, put it back on. It's locked in the same spot.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that's really
cool.
Key. And then
because we saw them on Friday helping you guys paint that for what seemed to be a very long time.
Yeah. So Keith and Crystal, man, they jumped as soon as I gave the go ahead and made that bridge. You know, it came out phenomenal.
Yeah,
I mean,
it did.
It helped so much, you know.
Well, the one thing that, like, because there are some complaints about the lifelines, about, like you were saying, 20 minutes the one day, and you got more time the second day. Some of the other ones, you know, didn't get them when they needed them, or whatever the case may be. and that's some of the stuff that Jeff's going to work on for next year. It's already in motion and stuff like that too. So to the same point, what we noticed was the 3 teams that had the most time with the lifelines were first, second, and third. It could have been coincidental because of their ideas.
I think it was coincidental.
Yeah, no, because
they were
the
most used.
Yeah,
we only used them for an hour the last day, and we got Crystal to stand there. I think we were carving. She carved a little bit with the horns, and then jumped off maybe 20 minutes later, and then we didn't see Keith until the last day.
Right.
You know, he came over while we were designing the epoxy, the floor, while Nick was in the VR, and that was like the first we saw him. And then they both didn't show up until the end, which is when we needed them, honestly.
Sure.
That's
good to know.
Do you guys think there should be more lifelines if there's 8 teams? Like, what if somebody? So it's first. What is it? First come, first serve. Should there be 4 lifelines? Would that make it more fair to where these people will be available when each team actually needs them? Or are you just going to be?
You know, so that lifeline, like, I think that, like, how can I explain? Yeah, lifeline, like, it's awesome having a lifeline, like, for sure. They're good at every aspect, you know. But I think, like, there should be, you know, because we did see a couple more people help other, you know, there was more than 4 people, you know, on a certain team. We seen people like help them for a little bit, you know what I mean, and then
like come out of the crowd. Like,
yeah,
really.
I witnessed somebody come out of the crowd and work on somebody else's project.
That's
wow.
That's bad.
Like, so, like, maybe like
anything to help Joseph.
You have like a power hour, say 1 hour. You could have whoever help you or something. You know, like, I don't know.
Not a bad idea.
But no, you know, it's just like, for example, my epoxy experience isn't, you know, I could go to a job and do a chip flake floor or a metallic floor, but I don't do it enough where I know the little tricks to, you know, this, that, and I can't do nothing cool like how Crystal, she could do like the ocean and, you know, all that awesome stuff. I just don't know how to do it, you know, so that is awesome having a lifeline, you know, because, you know, just simple that black epoxy, you know, I had like ketchup bottles. I brought some ketchup bottles, and everybody was just going to town, you know, and squirting it out between the stones and everything.
Yeah.
But
no, to my point though, you know, if you need her at the time you're ready to drop your epoxy, but she's with somebody else, that kind of screws you at that time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know,
they both were there actually helping us on our
and not that it's the lifeline's fault. It's just the way that it goes. So is it first come, first serve? And hey, I get to use the lifeline. I have an idea of when I want to use them, but they have to be available at that time. Yeah, or I might as well not use them at all.
How do you?
Well, to your same point, I saw lights flashing at multiple places at the same time, waiting for lifelines. To your question.
Yeah. So I think they're limited. Yeah, scheduling. So we're trying to iron that out. Yep.
You know,
that'll be a lot to be worked on for next year.
Yeah, and then the other thing to your point too is I would have given anything to jump on Joseph's and help them. It was killing me because he knew what to do, but his employees hadn't done my techniques and everything like that. And I was trying to explain it to them, but you know, Nick, how it is, and Tony, that if you don't take my class, you don't understand what I'm saying. It's not, you can't explain it over the phone.
Right.
I've got to show you what I'm trying to say. And so I brought them over to my project and said, here's how I'm doing this. And they're like, how'd you do that? And I'm like, I'm telling you, that's the point. You know, like that's what it takes to do this. And I couldn't explain it when they needed me the most. I could not help them. I mixed one color for them because I wasn't really helping them. I was just mixing color, and I needed the colors anyway for what I was doing, and left it for them and stuff like that, and said, here you go. That's the most I could do. Like I was terrified to even do that and someone catch me, you know, and anything like that. And I wasn't really even helping them. I'm just talking about color, which obviously is always funny when I'm colorblind, but it is what it is. Okay, what's next?
What was your total investment in this project? I know you guys had a lot of time in it, and you talked about a little bit about cost. Like this, you guys put out a little bit to get in this competition.
Yeah. So, I mean, just the shirts were, I think, like $1,200. The fireplace, like I said, it's full functional. Um, we probably had a little under $3,000 into the whole thing,
Wow.
you know. Um, so yeah, I'd say right around a little under $3,000.
And you still want to do this next year?
It depends with like the, if it's like themed or,
They're not going to do themed. The one thing that Jeff said is he'll never do that. They have no plans on doing themed.
They want to keep it open
because they want to be able to let you do what you want to do. We all have our own techniques. We have our own quirks. We have our own things. He doesn't want to make you do something you're not good at, for example. Like for me, for example, I'm not carving rock anytime soon. I can do sculptures and stuff like that, and I can do the floors, obviously, but I'm not going to do rock formations. That's not happening. So if you give me a rock formation, I'm already losing. There's no chance. So he doesn't want to have anybody have those kind of issues. He wants you to be able to do whatever you feel like, period, and leave it open to that. And there's not enough, with only 8 people, you can't separate it into different categories either. So there's not really that much room for any of that kind of stuff. It has to be free to be what you want to be as an artist. And the other way that, like what we talked about too, is look at it the other way. This was a great opportunity for you guys to show off what you can do for your clientele. And the great thing about these projects is these are the moments when you can do something you want to do that is hard to sell on somebody without them seeing it. Now you have that for them to see. And now you can sell that. Like we were talking about, now you have an opportunity to go into the city and look for public works projects that you never thought about before because you'd never tried something like this before. That's the point to this, I think. I mean, from my point of view, it's always been what I'm getting out of it personally and being able to show my clientele what I do and things like that and take it up as another notch and go, let's go this far with it, and charge way more money than I was charging before because my design is way over the top, but it can be done. And stuff like that. So it's really much more about that and taking advantage of the opportunity to be able to show off what you don't get to do on job sites very often.
Yeah, that's a good point. We've already sold 2 jobs off of basically pictures. Done.
Nice.
See, I rest my case.
Already done. We got a 3-tiered stamp patio with outdoor living with fireplace and a pizza oven.
Like I said the same thing about the Simpsons one. I was like, I don't see how that's really helping them. And Jeff was like, no, they actually do stuff similar to it. There's parts of that project that they can now show to their clients of stuff that they've already done in their field because they do a lot more with wood and welding. And there's a lot more than just concrete to what they do. And so, yeah, it does actually fit into what they're doing as an advertisement, as a clientele, as a project, So that was awesome.
Yeah. And then, at my shop, this is what we're doing at our kitchen backsplash.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
So that's AI,
Bonefish.
I put in all the aspects of it and told it what to do, and that's what it came up with.
So you can advertise at the Bonefish Grill now and make those in all of their locations. Yeah. And
obviously, I'll make it a little better and add epoxy and mix epoxy and some river rock, like Nick said, and cast it up there, and it'll be good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Is there anything we forgot?
I've learned so much from this, and that's awesome. The best thing out of this whole thing from last year to this year. It's like Nick took me under his wing, and Adam, me and Adam, we know how to make mix. We know how to, structure a wall. We know, we know now. And we do epoxy floors, we do chip flakes and all that stuff. So that ain't nothing, it's all in the prep.
It's always in the prep. Everything we do, it's all in the prep.
Everything's in the prep. And that's how concrete is. Everything's in your prep. If your setup isn't right, your concrete's going to look like shit.
Yeah, I think you guys from last year to this year, man, night and day, and you guys definitely earned that second place. I would have had you at first, but
Nick keeps saying he doesn't want to do it next year, but I already got the winning idea in the phone right here.
Well, so per the rules,
I don't think you do.
Per the rules, who's going to be the leader? Who's going to be the leader?
It'll be Adam then, right?
Well, it could be
you
Nick.
can still do Nick.
It could be Nick
now,
or it could be
you
Nick.
only can't do
again.
it for 1 year. Yeah, you can do whatever you want. It just can't be Cody now.
Yep.
Why can't it be a concrete guild? And no
It can be.
You know?
Yeah. You just have to have a name to it. But
yeah.
You know?
I mean, they might as well at this point because the teams have been mixing anyway.
We wouldn't be in it if it wasn't for him. You know, and vice versa. I think we're a great team. You know, so
yeah,
we've done it.
I did not see any fighting. I did not see any confusion. I did not see a moment of you guys having any issues. I was impressed with your team work, honestly.
Yeah, I mean it all comes down to us, being friends.
Yeah.
You get along with the people you work with, and you guys like the shit you do. So
yeah.
Yep.
We're all in this together, man.
Yeah.
One big happy concrete world.
Yeah.
That's exactly why we named our crew the Concrete Guild. It's just
well, that's why I was asking that. That was my point to that question earlier.
Yeah,
right.
That's all because of basically same thing in Deco. We're all family now.
Yep.
We all know each other. We all fuck with each other.
Yeah.
We get all of our products from them. Maybe not all, but
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I think we're good. We're good, right? Yeah. Anything else? That's good.
I think we got it.
Well, I just want to thank you guys very much. I'm glad you guys were able to do this. I told you guys we were excited about doing this. I wasn't kidding.
Yep.
This wasn't just because you got second place. I knew that we had a lot to talk about, and it was going to be a fun time. So I really appreciate you guys taking the time to do this with me, especially through all the computer problems, and someday hopefully Nick will figure out his problems on the computer and technology. And I won't even bring up the fact that my computer keeps saying there's an alert constantly going on right now. So hopefully all of this recorded again. Yeah. But if it doesn't, oh well, I guess we'll just have to do it all over again.
Sounds good.
But thank you very much for your time, guys. I really appreciate it, and we will do this again sometime soon. Maybe we'll do a pre-show next year and talk about your plan, or obviously not because you don't want to give it away, but you never know. Maybe we'll do something next year once we get all the teams and know what teams are up there. Or maybe we won't because I might be competing against you. You never know.
Yeah.
Awesome, guys. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks a lot.